Hi, welcome to ADHD Friendly. I am Patty. I am a professional ADHD coach. I'm noticing a little hair sticking out. Um, and I'm here to help you thrive with your ADHD. If you would like more support, I invite you to check out my ADHD Friendly membership. You can join at ADHDfriendly.com. And it's not a place to be idle. It's a place where we're getting more things done. So check it out if you think that might be a good fit for what you would like to thrive a bit more. This episode 202, I can see Becca's a little like, is she gonna stop? Are we gonna have to re-record this?
Yeah.
I am celebrating a birthday gift I got for my youngest 21st birthday this weekend. It's just blowing my mind. It makes me feel so old when I'm like, she's my youngest and she's 21.
Baby.
Also going to share a tip about how nothing should live on a surface. So I'm going to talk about how these horizontal surfaces are little magnets for our clutter and putting things down, and it really creates a lot of visual clutter in our lives. So I'm just going to share a simple rule that can help to tap into that all or nothing kind of mindset that we already have. So we're going to use it for good. And then the main topic for this week is slow processing speed and ADHD. I'm going to talk about what that is, underline the fact that it has nothing to do with intelligence, and give you some examples to help you explore if this is something that you notice for yourself. I'm going to underline not to diagnose it, not at all what we're about, just to explore if this is something that you notice might be one of the challenges that you also have with your ADHD brain. And then, of course, I'll highlight my book for the week. So let's start with my birthday celebration. So when we were about 2 months ago, leading up to my daughter's birthday, we've been looking for a replacement for her baby blanket. So 21 years old now, for a long time, because it has been fallen apart and has seen better days. She told me I can share it. This used to be a very pretty pink with little flowers all over it. She washes this all the time. It's not dirty. It's just 21 years old and been slept with constantly and washed endlessly. So it's literally just tattered and falling apart. It's soft as silk because it's just so loved. And so I found the replacement. You're not going to believe it's the same thing. If you are listening to this, I strongly encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, ADHD Friendly, to check this out. So I found it on eBay. I had to buy it. It was
still like it's in
near mint condition. It was used, but clearly whoever had this as a receiving blanket maybe had it out and washed it.
Maybe once.
Yeah, but it was really not used.
Brand new.
Literally, I showed it to Becky before we started recording. She goes, so what color was the original one? It's like, no, this is the original one. This is the exact same blanket 21 years ago. This is that same blanket today. And when she opened her gift, she was literally speechless. I mean, just look at it. It's soft. Did you feel it?
Yes.
It's soft, it's lovely.
It's so
and so it's funny because I told my son, who's 2 years older than her and has the same brand. This is a child of mine from Carter's baby blanket. His is blue and it has like little similar like little decorations, but like they're like little like airplanes and trucks and stuff. And his, I found one. I found a couple of hers, all in varying prices, starting from like I think $80 was the cheapest. I was like, I did not pay that, but I did pay close to that. I offered an alternate. They were taking alternate bids, so I made an offer and they took it. I then was like going to get my other son, so I was like, oh, I should get him his as a surprise, and I'll just hold on to it. There's only one I can find anywhere. It's brand new, never been used, which is crazy because that one's 23 years old. Yeah, $150. I'm like, can't do it. Love him, but I can't do it. So yeah, but no. This one was about 50. I think I ended up bidding for it.
And just the sentimental and the fact that she's still
she was so happy. So my win is I saw it, I did it. I got in my head a little bit about it and actually had to like talk to my husband. I was like, is this stupid? It's a baby blanket. Should I spend that much money on a baby blanket? I had no regrets when she opened it. Like it was so fun to see her face and how she immediately, she was like, oh my gosh. Like it was really, I should have videoed it. I didn't even know. Yeah, I know, but I was really in the moment and I do remember her face and she said it was her favorite gift.
So sweet.
So I know, look at them. It's like shocking when you see them together. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And my sons, like all of my kids still have their baby blankets. They're lovey. I can't even find my tool skits. Can't find a single version. I know exactly what they are. I searched endlessly, cannot find a single one, no matter how used it is. Can't find it. But they all still have it and they all look similar to hers. They're all ratted. And my oldest, my second, I used to sew like the fleece backing to it to try to extend the life of it. So anyway, that's my fun celebration that I got it, and it was definitely a win. I don't have anything I purchased or a product of the week, so we are moving right along. Let's save a little time on that. For my tip this week, it is that nothing lives on a surface, on a flat surface. These are for using, not for storing. So if you think about like your kitchen counter, it's a prep space. It's not a store a bunch of things space. Now, I'm not talking about your toaster oven or your bread box or, I'm talking about just putting things down.
Clutter.
And leaving them there.
Yeah. Piles of mail.
Yes, exactly. Everything goes somewhere and it does not go on a flat surface. Now, here's the catch though. If you have ADHD, flat surfaces are like little magnets. Like we see a flat surface and it is an opportunity to put
something there.
Stuff down. I almost swore to put that stuff down and they draw us in. So whether it's your table, your dining room table, your nightstand, your end table, your coffee table, your kitchen table, your counters, we occupy flat spaces. Okay. So once we put something on them, it's like an invitation to everything else, right? Yeah. We won't just be like, oh, I'll just put down this envelope. No, everything ends up there. So this was the reason I've mentioned in a much earlier podcast about organizing clothes and things. I don't have a dresser. And one of the reasons I don't have a dresser is if you think about it, and I think this is the easiest place it was for me to start eliminating flat surfaces where they weren't essential. Yeah. Why do you need a flat surface? It literally is just there because it's what the drawers go into. So you don't have an open drawer. Right. There's no purpose to the top of a dresser.
You're right.
Like at least maybe I'm not using it properly.
Well, no, then just people put stuff.
Yeah, they're either tchotchkes, decorative things, but there's no real purpose to a dresser. And when I was a professional organizer in clients I've worked with, even without helping them organize, the dresser is a hot spot for stuff. Yeah. So floors are flat surfaces, right? So like floors can be like the same thing where it's like, well, I'll put it here. I'll make a little pile over here. Anything that's flat is a magnet for us to drop things. So keep in mind, everything needs a home. Homes require decisions. So this is often why we have a hard time with it, because it's almost like we're delaying. Is like, I'm going to put it there until I figure out where it's going to go. That's a slippery slope for us, my friends. So think about drawers, bins, baskets, little totes, little things to put things in, not the flat surface. Okay. So they might live on a flat surface, like a shelf or something, a tote, books, but not piled up on your flat work surfaces. These are for using, not for storing. Okay. So if you think about like remote controls in your TV room, put them in a little bin, little basket. Yeah. They might stay on a little side table or on the coffee table, but they have a home. Yes. And it's organized. Yeah. It's not just, where's the remote? I don't know. There was one over there. There's one over there. They're in the cushion. No, they go here. DVDs and games in a bin on a shelf. Love it. Purses, backpacks on a hook, right? Just hang them up. Pens, have a cup, a drawer, somewhere that you have a home for them. Knitting projects in a bag. I know, don't judge me. I've got, right now I'm doing a blanket. So I've got like a lot of yarn all over the place and it's just driving me crazy because even when I was preparing this, I'm like, yeah, look at that pile of yarn, but I'm aware. We're not going for perfect. We're going for, I do have homes for my yarn, but I need to see the colors because I'm making a scrappy blanket, but I digress. Magazines in a tray, books on a shelf. Like think about the home. Yeah. If you have a bunch of mail, a bin to put the mail in. Ooh. Or a mail sorter to to hold it, something that will allow you to have a home for the thing, not the counter or the table to be the home. So again, this is just a tip, but think about surfaces as being something you actively use, not something you are passively storing.
Ooh,
so you're using it for meal prep, to play games on, workspace, whether it's a desk, a counter, coffee table. If it's clear, it's inviting use. If it's cluttered, it's draining your energy. So think about how to find homes, and with bins, baskets, totes, it's easier to put them back because you know where they go. So it makes keeping up with the clutter so much easier because it does have a home. Decide once and keep it there. So again, define your homes, take back your surfaces, and it reduces the visual clutter. So that leaning into the all or nothing, that nothing lives on a flat surface, can be one of those things that really does support our brains, instead of like, well, I'll just have this couple of piles here. Like I always say, in my back, I have a counter that's as long as my office is wide. And I always say, if I get more than 3 piles going, I'm in trouble. Like I have too much going on. So I try to, really, and I used to have trays back there to hold them in, but I did find that the trays made it feel like whatever was in the bottom of the tray, it's like so old. So like now, like, I'm trying to work with my brain. So again, not perfect, but progress. So notice what would work for you to decide that flat surfaces are not anything but workspaces, and just go from there. If you want to share how that works or what you've done to make it easier for you to manage your flat surfaces, episode 202, post in the comments. All right, now for our topic. Why does everything take me longer?
Ooh,
so it's about ADHD and slow processing speed. Not everybody has it. Some people with ADHD are like lickety split, like lightning. I remember when I first learned about slow processing speed, I was like, that's me. Oh my gosh. And I didn't like the word slow because it makes it sound like, you're slow. It's like, well, I do take longer to process things. So has this ever happened to you? This is just a little description to help you think about what this might look like in real life. Okay. So someone asks a question such as, what's the last movie you saw in a theater? I'm asking Becca, putting her on the spot.
I saw the Barbie movie.
Okay, there you go. Wow, that was a while ago. You had to stretch your brain. So usually by the time you think of your answer, if you're in a conversation, especially with other people, the topic may have moved on.
Oh,
right. So this happens a lot because number one, it takes me a little while to process what you asked me. And then I start thinking, what was the last thing? I could have saw something over the weekend. It doesn't matter. I'm like, what was it that I saw? Because I'm no longer connected to that. And then if there's other people, they start answering the question, and then I'll think of it. And then they've moved on to something else. Totally like, did you see that they're building whatever down there by the theater? Now they're talking about the new development. And I'm like, and I'm like, movie. I never got to share. That was good. So, a lot of adults and children that have ADHD also experience slow processing speed. So again, this is not about diagnosing. That I'm not a medical professional. I am not at all. I'm just helping you to understand what it is and to explore if maybe this is something you notice might be part of the pieces that make up your unique brain wiring. So what is that? What is slow processing? It's when your brain takes longer to take in information, understand it, and respond to it. So it's using a lot of executive functions too, right? So if you already have weak working memory, if you have a hard time focusing, these things are going to impact that as well. But it's a separate thing by itself. So even if you don't have weak working memory, this is basically just noticing like what you said, what I think about it, and what I'm responding with takes me a bit just to be longer, right? Yeah. So I want to emphasize, underline, highlight, bold, everything. It's not about intelligence. It has nothing to do with how smart you are. I wish so much somebody had told me this when I was younger. I was always the last one to laugh at a joke. So people will tell a joke and they're cracking up, and I'm like, I'll come in like, a beat later or 2 or 3 beats later, or I don't get it and I'm embarrassed, so I'm not going to get it. So I just laugh along with you, because it always took me a little while to figure out. Even to this day, I watch, a funny show with my husband, and he'll laugh and I'll laugh like a second or two later. And I don't get in my head because he knows I get it a little bit later, but I can always feel him looking at me like waiting for me to get it. And I'm like, oh, But of course, I missed whatever the next joke is. It's why I love rewatching movies, because there's all these funny things. I'm like, oh, I totally missed that the first time because I was thinking about the first joke.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the second one.
Oh,
So it's just something I've always known about myself. And when I first learned what this term was, I was in my ADHD coach training. I was like, whoa, like literally like, whoa, slow horses down. Say that again. I was like, tell me what that is, because that so describes my brain. And I always thought I wasn't very smart. And I had to really talk myself into going to college because I didn't think I was college material. I didn't think I was smart enough to go to college.
Yeah.
And I had people in my life at the time that I wanted to go to college that were happy to reinforce that belief, which I now know had more to do about them than it did about me. But I had to slowly like kind of dip my toe into college and prove to myself I could do it. And then I was like, I can do it and I can do it well. How interesting. And it took a long time for me to realize I'm not stupid, but I didn't know why it took me longer to understand things or to process them and make sense of them. Yeah. So really just kind of wanted to highlight this because it is such a common thing. Some studies show up to 61% of people with ADHD also have slow processing speed. So, you know, a lot more than half of us, this is going to make sense with. So if you think about the difference, ADHD is about regulating your attention, your motivation, and your executive function skills. So they're showing up with the level that you need to support you to do the thing you're trying to do. Slow processing speed is all about the pace that your brain is working in. All right. So if you just think about like a sprinter and you're running as fast as you can and somebody else is just going right by you, it doesn't mean you can't run and you can't do everything. You're just not doing it at that same pace. Okay. So it has nothing to do with your intelligence. So this looks like a lot of different, like I want to kind of highlight how it shows up in different situations. So you might take longer to answer questions and conversations. You might need to think about it for a second. I have learned to say, give me a second to think about that. Or I like the word marinate. I was like, I'm going to marinate on that a little bit. Like, give me time to make sense of that in my own brain. You might need more time on a test or on an assignment. So a lot of my students have accommodations to have extended time on tests so that their brains can take in the information more easily and they can do better. You might feel like you're 2 steps behind in a class or a meeting. So there might be a topic going on and you're trying to keep up and it seems like everybody else kind of has it. And you're still trying to make the connection. Again, not about intelligence, just about how long your brain needs to kind of put those pieces in place and get it. If you're watching TV, you might miss a plot point because your brain takes a beat longer to process quick dialogue. So if they're like kind of like going really, really fast. I have this happen if there's a lot of different characters and they mention somebody, I'm like, who was that? And I'm trying to like remember who they're I'm really bad at names too. So I'll get stuck on things and try to pull, make my brain work. I always think, if there's like a lot of characters or there's a lot of dialogue, especially if it's a foreign language film and there's a lot of dialogue and I have to read it.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm not up for that
Slow
tonight.
down.
So I'm like, there's just times I'm just mentally fatigued. I can't do it. I'm like, I need something light and easy for me to watch. I don't want to work. Or if there's a lot of visual changes, maybe they're going, I found this in a lot of the last Marvel movies where I'm like, I am so visually overwhelmed. I can't even understand like that last Doctor Strange movie. I was like, I have no interest in this. I don't know what's happening. I'm so visually like they went from here to here and here and all these different time, space, continuum things. I can't. I can't. So again, it's not about a lack of intelligence. You're going to hear me repeat this over and over because I really want to drive that home and support you to notice without judging. Just observe. It's a brain difference, just like ADHD is. It's just, just like if your legs are a little shorter or don't, lift as high and your stride isn't as long, you're not going to run as fast.
Right.
Not that you don't have, the components, it's just not the same. Here's the other piece that is really important. And I definitely resonated with when I read it. Because I was like, well, if you put me under pressure, you ask me a question in front of people, it's worse. So that's what research shows. Stress, fatigue, and being sensory overloaded. So a lot of noise in the background, a lot of visual stimuli coming at you will slow it down even more. So I always think about how I'm a deer in the headlights when I go into a Starbucks and they're like, hey, welcome to Starbucks. Can I help you? And I'm not a Starbucks girl. So it's funny. That's my example because I just don't like all of the foo-foo coffee things, but I just stand there. I feel like I'm an underage teenager at a bar where I'm like, I don't know. And I feel like they're going to go, you don't belong here. Step to the left and let's to the right. I have terrible left, right. Step to the side and let somebody else go in front of you.
Get in trouble for
like that John Panay guy. I don't know if you ever saw that comedian where he's talking about the people in line at McDonald's and they're like looking at the menu going, and he goes, that's how I feel in Starbucks. So I'm under pressure. And I swear to you, I end up getting the first thing on the menu. I do it at drive-thrus too. I'm like, oh,
right. I don't even know what
that is. So
my life.
If you're under pressure, or you're fatigued, so you didn't get a lot of sleep, or like what I just described, I'm tired after a long day. And let's say my husband wants to watch something and it's very dense and he's very into these like Iranian, like spy things. And
so you have to pay attention.
Oh, well, and they're foreign language. So they have the subtitles and I'm like, I get distracted because the mouths aren't lining up with what's being said. And I've got to read what's being said. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's exhausting. So I've got a little quiz. Now I'm going to full disclosure. This is a ChatGPT quiz that I asked ChatGPT to come up with. It's funny. I'm like waiting for it to talk like Siri or so good. And it doesn't do that, thankfully. But I remember it's a fun quiz, not a diagnosis. So it's just 5 questions, answer yes or no to each question, just to notice if this sounds like you. So do you often answer, this is number 1, do you often know the answer in your head to a question, but struggle to say it out loud quickly in conversations or meetings? And I would say, or Jeopardy. I play Jeopardy with my family and I can't get my husband's really quick. This is not his challenge. He will like, and I'm like, I knew it. I just couldn't. He's like, well, you didn't say it. I'm like, because now I know, because my brain wasn't able. Yeah, I would be terrible at,
That was even like Family Feud, again, being under pressure.
Yes.
Like I can't.
Nope, not my thing. I always think of Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible. I'm like, I would suck at this. I would like, it was like, just do it. And I'm like, what? They'd be like, go to the walk, turn left. I'm like, what? Go where?
Okay.
Tell me again. I'm going to the door. Where's the door?
Yeah, can we have a Mission Impossible for someone with ADHD?
Yes.
Is that what?
All right. Number 2, do you need extra time to read, write, or complete tasks, even when you understand the material? So it might be, my example here is the Star Wars scroll. I have seen Star Wars 1,000,001 times. You put that scroll at the beginning of the movie and my husband was like, just pause it. I can't read it under the pressure. And forget about if it's a movie I've not read, or at the end where they're telling you like what happened to these people. I'm like, pause it. I can't read it under pressure. I need you, because I'm always afraid it's going to disappear. So I can't even take the information I'm reading. I'm under so much pressure. Number 3, again, you're just answering yes or no. Yes. Number 2. Okay. So I've got 2. Number 3, do you sometimes feel behind in fast-paced group discussions? Like the conversation has already moved on before you can contribute to what was being talked about. I would say yes for me. And I also will forget what I was going to say. That's the ADHD component, because I'm holding it in my working memory. And so even if there would be an opportunity and that off chance I would remember, like that I would have an opportunity, I'd forget what it was I was going to say. So yes, double. Number 4, do you often get overwhelmed when given a lot of information at once, needing more time to sort through it? 4. No, I'm on 4. So this is my example with the directions. This happens anytime you try to give me directions. All right, Patty, so you're going to go to the end of the street at the corner there. You're going to turn left. Go up about a mile. You're going to turn right at the light. Go 3 blocks. You'll get to a stop sign. Go through the stop sign and take your first left. I can't remember what direction you told me to turn at the end of the road.
Out of the driveway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wait, so I'm going this way to the end of the road or that way to the end of the road?
Yeah.
And even if it's clear, I still don't remember which way you told me to turn at the end of the road.
Retaining that information.
So I'm like, I need to write it down. I have
telling you that's not gonna.
Yep.
Nope.
So that's 4. Number 5, do people sometimes mistake your slower responses for not paying attention, even though you are fully engaged? So this one I had to think a little bit about, and I would say, yes, I don't notice it as much. And this is more in more intimate settings than in groups.
Yeah.
Where it's not as noticeable, but I would say yes, because specifically my kids, they'll say, did you even hear what I'm saying? And I'm like, yes, but you kept going and I'm trying to catch
back to.
Yeah. Or I'll be like, yes, but I got stuck on, is this something I even have the bandwidth to think about right now?
Yeah.
So I'm not listening. It's like, so it comes up in a slightly different. So I would say like I get like 4.5 out of 5. So here's your scoring. If you have mostly yeses, slow processing speed might be a part of your ADHD brain experience. Might be. Again, we're not diagnosing here, guys. Can't use that disclaimer enough. It doesn't mean you're less smart. It just means your brain takes a little bit more time to sort, organize, and output information. If you have mostly no's, slow processing speed is probably not a big factor for you. You might notice it like in high pressure situations, but generally this isn't something that you struggle with. If you have a mix of yes and no's, your processing speed might vary depending on how interested you are in the topic, how much stress you're under, or the environment you're in. So if there's a lot going on, it might show up more than if it's in a calm space that you can focus in. So yeah. So I've got some strategies for you. Okay, I'm going to try to do this really quickly because I don't want this to be like the episode that goes on forever. I used to have a kid when I taught second grade special education, and he would always come in, and I'm going to get this song in my head. I'm going to kick myself to no end, but he would sing this song that never ends. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was the song that never ends.
Oh gosh,
it just goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, but they continued singing it forever just because it is the song that never. I remember that. And I did not have kids when I was teaching. So that song, sorry, so sorry. I should have given you like a hint to jump forward. Maybe you put that in the visual. You don't want a song, what is it, a songworm or an earworm?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so here are some strategies. I'm going to give you situations and strategies. So if you are trying to listen to something and it's taking longer to process the verbal instructions or the conversation you're hearing, and you need to pause before you can answer, you might ask for them to repeat themselves or try to clarify. Say, okay, to be sure I understood what you're saying, this is what I heard. So you're basically repeating it. If you are reading something and you read slowly, this comes up a lot. So again, you're taking in information. It's not because you're not smart. You just might take your own pace to be able to take in the information in the way that is going to serve you. So you might need to reread to be able to comprehend it appropriately, or you might have a difficult time keeping up with multi-step instructions. So let's say like you're reading something you're supposed to do and there's like multiple steps. This comes up for me if the steps are written in paragraph form as opposed to bulleted or numbered lists. I'm like, knitting patterns, they do this a lot. I'm like, I can't even begin to process this. I need to write this out in a way that works for me. So strategy for that, break your text into small sections, highlight key points. Now, if you're a student, this highlighting, like you can highlight digitally if it's possible, concrete, visual, external, print it out, get a print version you can write on, or summarize it in your own words. So you're turning the information into your own language to make sense of it. If you're watching TV or a video, maybe you're missing some cues. So whether it's, audio or visual, or you're missing a joke or a plot point, pause and rewind. Or maybe this is very common today. So I think it's so interesting to me how many people do use subtitles, especially younger adults. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always,
I do too. And it has nothing to do with not being able to hear it. We've done it forever because of Daughter with the Blankie.
Yeah.
From the time she was probably 10 or 11, she always wanted the subtitles on. I remember I took her to have her hearing tested because I thought, are you not hearing things? Like we don't need this. Why would you? And it was just the reinforcing. It's like you're watching, but you're also able to take in confirmation of what you're hearing at the same time. So it really does help the comprehension.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, I do this. I do the opposite though. You can slow the audio. I do tend to, which is really interesting because I don't know what it is. I can't do it at the beginning of a book. Yeah. But once I get the characters and the plot down, I turn it up to 150. Which is funny because I have people that I know that listen to it over 200 speed. They sound like chipmunks. I can't do that. But I'm doing the Anne of Green Gables right now, and I've got her at 100. I turned up Little House on the Prairie because she was like molasses. I could not take it. Okay, I digress. If you are doing work or school tasks and it's taking longer to complete an assignment or a project, or difficulty keeping up with the class material that's being shared with you verbally, chunk in your tasks. So literally build out what you're working on and make it into pieces, not trying to do the whole thing. Build in extra time or use a written checklist, like write out like, okay, so I'm going to do math problems 1 through 5, then I'll take a break. I'll come back and do problems 6 through 10 or whatever it is, but give yourself a time frame to work from so you can check it off and keep up with it. And if you need accommodations, whether it's school or work, think about what that would look like for you and what you would be comfortable using.
Yeah.
Doesn't help to ask for accommodations if you're not going to use them. I have
Or
this
know
come up a
what
lot
you're
with students.
doing.
Right. And if the language gets in the way, check out Jan, ask Jan, ASK, J as in John, AN as in Nancy, dot, I don't remember. You're gonna have to put this up, Becca. It's either .com or .org. It might be a .org. It's all about accommodations. Mostly at work, it's the Job Accommodation Network, but there's great
Ooh.
ideas as well, you know, for what it might look like if you need different things, but it helps with language for requesting, not based on a diagnosis if you don't want to disclose, but just, I need a quiet environment to support me to make less mistakes or to focus. And so it might be, I'm going to take my work and go work in the conference room instead of if you're like in an open work area or something.
Right.
So yeah, it just kind of helps with language and free help. It's all free. Ask Jan.
Even better.
Yep, great source. If you are in a social or a family situation and you need extra time to respond, especially if there's some stress, I've always said, like, I would never do well in a debate. I don't do well arguing. Give yourself permission to pause, ask for one topic at a time if people are like jumping back and forth, or to say, I need more time to process that. Say, I'm going to have to think about that a little while before I can make a decision. Ask for what you need. If you're learning a new skill or a new hobby, it might take you longer time to understand the instructions or the rules, or you might take a longer time to master that skill. If somebody had tied that to my knitting, I think I would have been more gracious to myself when I was learning. So it says, repeat the instructions, use visual aids, and practice in small steps. For me, it came down to having somebody explain it to me in a way that didn't overwhelm my brain and would literally sit next to me and show me so I didn't have to kind of flip it in my visual to see what they were having me do. And then finally, in your daily life tasks, if you are slower processing multiple steps, like if you're cooking and you're following a recipe or you're running errands and you're trying to hold on to all those different pieces, break it into chunks, write it out, and set reminders or alarms if you need them. So again, slow processing speed is common with ADHD brains, and it's not about your intelligence. It's about the speed and the pace that your brain absorbs, interprets, and responds to information. You might notice it in all areas like listening, reading, watching, or you might just notice it mainly in one area. So it might be predominant in one area versus all. I notice it in many. And just keep in mind, fatigue, stress, distractions, multitasking, all of these things put pressure on your brain and make it worse. They amplify the impact. So notice where you might be impacted and just experiment with a strategy to see if it eases that strain on your brain. Brain strain. Woo. All right. Now, finally, we are at the point where I share my book of the week. This was a good one. Margot's Got Money Troubles. You would like this one, Becca. It was fun. So this is by Rufi Thorpe, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And
is this get turned into a movie?
It is turning into a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And I love books that are getting turned into a movie. And I remember who's in it, but I can't remember now. I read the cast and now I can't remember.
Okay, I gotta read this one.
So Margot is in her first year of community college and she begins dating her married English professor. Yep. And she gets pregnant. I'm telling you, first chapter goes. I'm not spoiling anything. She decides to keep the baby, and the professor, who comes from a very, very like old money, wealthy family, the mom reaches out and offers her a lump sum of $15,000 with the requirement that she sign an NDA, basically trying to protect her son and keep her from coming back and asking for more. And of course, she's an out of work, pregnant 19-year-old, desperate, and she needs to pay her rent. So this sounds like an enormous sum of money to her. And it's quickly gone. Right. She's got rent, she's got diapers, she's got food, and she turns to online sex work. Have I made this interesting enough for your brains?
You have.
That's it. That's all I'm going to tell you. And it all happens very quickly. So I'm not giving anything away. I loved how naive she is. If you read this, Becca, there is a specific point. I'm not going to talk about it because then she's going to have to make my podcast rating illicit or adult or whatever I don't know what the rating is, but I'm not going to say it, but it is stinking hysterical. All I'm going to say is it has to do with Pokemon characters.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
And her sex work. I laughed out loud. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Margot.
Yeah.
Quick read, simple. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Really enjoyable. Found it surprisingly delightful.
Ooh.
So yeah, that is it for this episode. I hope you have a wonderful ADHD friendly week, and I'll see you next time. Tally ho.